Hello everyone, good afternoon everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On the name of Mayamen, I would like to thank you all for being here. Thank you all for your time during this holy month of Ramadan. We hope you are safe, staying at home and searching to feed your thoughts and your mind with quality. My name is Sumisha. I am a business event consultant. I have 20 years of experience in the business tourism, and I have 10 years of experience in the online digital world. Today we organize this event with the Mayamen team. So I would like to introduce you to them briefly. So we have our amazing web designer, Shoheb. Hello, Shoheb.
Hello, Sumisha. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session, and hope we're going to enjoy this session and have a great learning period, inshallah.
We will. And we have Abdullah, who is the owner of Mayamen. Hello, Abdullah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session, and inshallah, the session will be very fruitful for everyone, which give us some motivation, and inshallah, we'll enjoy inshallah together. Thank you very much.
Before to start, Abdullah, I would like just to remind our code of conduct. We ask our attendees to mute yourself. We will do it, of course, but we have quite a lot of people. So if you can please mute yourself, stop your cameras as well. We have the chat where you can raise your comments and your questions. During this webinar, the agenda is during 1 hour. We will have our amazing panelists, amazing speakers, Sheikh Taher and Sheikh Moosa, who will make the presentations, and we will have the last 30 minutes for a Q&A session. So please, during this session, don't hesitate to raise your comments and your question in the chat, and we will come back to it at the end. So I hope all is clear. Thank you so much. Abdullah, I think you can start with the presentation of our speakers.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for everyone. Today we will have a session about how to deal with this corona pandemic spiritually and psychologically. At this time, everyone is talking how to deal with this pandemic, like financially and how to do in your career and everything, but no one is touching this area of psychologically and spiritually, which I think is the most important before anything else. Joining us together today in this afternoon, we have Sheikh Abu Bara, Sheikh Taher Khalid. MashaAllah, he is 30 years experience in media and coaching young generation. Also, we have Sheikh Moosa Tariq Khoory. He is also a motivational speaker about behavior and beliefs. Today, we will have 25 minutes for each, 25 to 30 minutes for each speaker. Then we will have Q&A session. Please, if you have any question, you can share it in the chat box we have here. We will give last 15 to 20 minutes for the questions. I would like to start with Sheikh Taher Khalid. Bismillah, Sheikh.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam, rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very happy to participate in this activity, and I've been actively engaged here in UAE. I've been living here for 26 years. In that 26 years, by Allah's permission, I've had the opportunity to serve this community in the UAE in many different ways, and it's been very fruitful for me and very enjoyable. And I've seen some of our young people grow up and themselves now have children who were their age when I was interacting with them. So it is a great opportunity for me in this particular time to address you. I'm a presenter on Sharjah television, which I've been on for more than 20 years. And also I'm active in the Jamia Islamic Learning Center in Dubai for a number of years. So I'm very much familiar with the UAE, and of course, my heart and love is in the UAE. And we have very much concern from the UAE in relationship to people globally. As you well know, our society is a very mixed society, which is really representative of the global population. So our concerns are for the global population in totality, even though we are Muslims, and the view that we present comes from an Islamic perspective, which is to be expected. But in that, we believe is a solution for all people who want to take time to reflect and to look at those principles in relationship to their lives, in whatever aspect of their life there may be. So let's see what Allah says in the Quran, and this is chapter 3, which is Al-Imran, verse number 102. Allah says, "O you who believe, fear Allah by doing all that He has ordered and by abstaining from all that He has forbidden." I'll emphasize it, abstaining from all that He has forbidden. As He should be feared, obey Him, be thankful to Him, remember Him always, and die not except in a state of Islam. Meaning, as Muslims with complete submission to Allah. So what we have to look at in our relationship on a daily basis, and we should look as Christians, Jews, and the Muslims, who we call the monotheistic religions in particular, what are the guidelines that we have received in obeying the commandments of the one and only God? And where do I stand in that relationship? Now, there's one thing about this pandemic, which is excellent. It has given us an opportunity to sit with our families, to sit and reflect on our present condition and our relationship with the one and only God, and all the other aspects of our life. And we ask ourselves, and of course, the Jews and the Christians, I'll ask you a question. Those who are out there, do you know the 10 Commandments? And if you do know the 10 Commandments, are you obeying them or are you following them? And this is essential for us to look at this. For the Muslims, do you know the 5 pillars? Do you know the 6 articles of faith? Do you know them? Do you understand them? Are you obeying them to the best of your ability today? And we want to encourage everyone to learn about these things, that whatever religion or discipline or whatever it is that you might be doing in your life on a daily basis, to look at it from a perspective of, well, the smallest thing would be our individuality. What is my particular condition individually? Then let me look at my family, and then at my community and my nation, and then globally. And of course, we know that many people are involved on different levels, individually and collectively. But each one of us should come back to that simple reality. Where do I stand? When I look in the mirror today, what do I see? Am I happy with what I see? And what is the criteria for that happiness? And again, in Surah Taha, this is Surah number 20, verse number 131, Allah says more or less in the translation, and strain not your eyes in longing for the things we have given or enjoyment, people, polytheists and disbelievers in the oneness of Allah. The splendor of the life of this world, that we may test them thereby. But the provision, meaning the good reward in the hereafter of your Lord, is better and more lasting. So where do we stand in relationship to this? Are we a people who have become obsessed by the things of this world? Is this our criteria for our existence? And how do we do this? What is the criteria? Where are our values in relationship to this? Are we willing to do anything to obtain the things of this world? Do we have no rules or regulations? Are we unscrupulous in relationship of achieving and obtaining and maintaining these things? Do we have no fear that we'll have to return to our Lord, that we'll have to account? Do we think that this world is everything? Do we not realize that our life is temporary? And Allah says more or less that every soul should have a taste of death. Is there anyone that is excluded from that? Do we exclude ourselves by saying, well, I'll deal with that when it comes to it? And we say, well, that's very dangerous attitude. So it is a time for us to fall back and reflect and look at our present condition, and our present condition in relationship to our eternity. Where do we stand in relationship to our eternity? When we put that in perspective, all of the other things will come into perspective. The fears that I'm finding that people are now obsessed with fear. And the essence of this is generally the fear of death, whether they admit it or not. It's the fear of death. Because now almost everyone knows someone who has died, but we all do, don't we? Is the criteria corona? Is coronavirus killing the people? Or is it the decree of Allah? We have to ask ourselves, what is the reality of this? Allah has written what we receive in this life. Every drop of water that we will drink, every drop of water that we will bathe with, as an example, has been written. Every dollar, dirham, or euro, or rupee that we receive, Allah has written that. So if we become obsessed by the things of the world, and by any means, what will be our demise? We have to ask ourselves that question. Are we ready for that which is coming eternally? Are we preparing now when we have a chance to sit back? Or are we complaining about our present condition? And psychologically, have we become paranoid? Because we're worried about what is going to happen to me tomorrow. If I lose my job, if I lose my business. Instead of asking ourselves a very simple question, what if I die in the state where I am not obeying my Lord? If I am away from the consciousness and awareness of who my Lord is. And for those people who say, well, I don't believe in that. I believe in myself. It's okay, fine. Is that true? Then suppose everything in this world is taken from you, which is happening to people now. It is not the beginning of this state of affairs, but there are many people today who are in total fear of that they're going to lose the things which they've made so much effort on, which is natural. The things in which you've made effort on, the things in which you love, these are the things which fill your heart. But the heart, was it really, we talk about the spiritual heart, was it really created by Allah for that? Or was it created and given a choice to choose the love of Allah? Because the person who chooses the love of Allah is the winner. Because Allah is ultimately the controller of the heart. Allah is the controller of our life and death. How do we control this? Where was our belief system? Our belief system today has been polluted. And the devices, this device that you're looking at now, has become a device as a promoter for truth and also a device to lead people astray. So if we just look at the impact on our senses, our eyes, our sight, our hearing, our speech, our thoughts, our actions, our relationships, people, places, things. If we just put this in a circle and look at ourselves, if we dissect ourselves and see, where am I in this circle? How do these things impact? Challenge yourself, and I challenge everyone, take this vehicle, this phone, and put it away for one day. Just put it in a drawer. Don't touch it. Tell everybody the day before, I'm going to be incognito tomorrow. I'm going to do some self-reflection, internal meditation. Shut my phone down. I want to see what is my condition. I want to see how much control I have over my being and how much I am being impacted by outside influences. We've tried this in many instances in gatherings and talks with people. We've taken them, we asked them, give us all your cell phones, put them in a bag, and we're going to put them over in the corner. And you should try this sometime in a social gathering. Don't try it in the office, of course. And the people start panicking. You ask them, you know, I feel sweating. I feel nervous. I feel anxious. And I don't understand why. It says, why? Because these devices have been systematically designed to have an impact on your mind and your subconscious mind. So if we do not turn our subconscious mind and our mindful state over to our Creator, then what path will we follow? And I think that for the people of understanding is very clear. And if you don't believe it, then just look at the research that is being developed on, and the people who are specializing in these devices, they're not hiding. There's open studies and lots of data about the impact and how they've designed them specifically. So in the media itself, we look at the media, how does this impact us? That which we see on a daily basis when you're driving your car, as an example. Not even we're talking about on your phone or iPad or your computer, but just when you're driving your car, that which you see with no sound. What is the impact on you visually, on your very soul, on your desires? So we're saying we need a change. And we have become what? A quick fix, push button remote control. So we ourselves have become robotic in our thinking and our efforts. Now, many people say, you're insulting me. I'm a very highly educated person. I am highly respected among my peers and among my customers and the society. And we're not saying this to attack anyone. We're saying all of us, every single soul was on this earth today, needs to reflect on his personal relationship with his Lord, his personal relationship with his family and his society, and what it is that we're doing to improve those relationships. That this is what this pandemic is giving us an opportunity to do, to fall back and look at ourselves, at our conditions. What are the things that we need to do to improve ourselves? It doesn't have to cause panic and for people to commit suicide or their anxiety to run away with them, or to become extremely paranoid, or to turn to substance abuse of some type to try to relieve themselves of facing the realities here in their own heart, in their own mind. And unfortunately, there are many people doing this. And as a result, we will see the results of these things when things calm down. And this pandemic, at some point in time, inshallah, it will end. And we'll see the result of what people have been doing. And of course, we're aware of the fact that some people will be among those who will go to extreme measures. So this is why we're calling everyone to come and to understand the real essence of what's happening. So don't panic. Sit down and accept who you are. Look and see what is the essence of your soul. And many people don't want to do that. They can't stay still for 5 minutes. We say, conquer your fears. It says, well, brother, what do we have to do? For us, the Muslims, we offer a very simple solution that our dear and beloved Prophet ﷺ used to do regularly when he faced any difficulty. He made a fresh ablution, washing face, hands, head, feet. And then he prayed 2 rakat. And then he made supplication. Now, some people say, okay, brother, that's good. You're a Muslim, I'm not a Muslim. So we say, for all of you, and particularly the people of the book, that this is what Jesus ﷺ did. This is what Moosa ﷺ did. So we ask you, what are you doing? Are you following them? Do you realize the reality of what we're facing? So we need to look at the simple solution for our problems. We should sit with people of knowledge based on the set of circumstances that we're facing and seek their advices in relationship with us and follow that path which is most righteous. And we should attempt to balance out our lifestyle, for lack of a better description. We are basically who we interact with. We have an old saying, birds of a feather flock together. If you interact with pious people and you're a sinner or an evildoer, let's say a bank robber, but you're with people, you said, I'm not going to be a bank robber anymore. And I've known people like this. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to go to the people who spend their time worshiping the one and only God. I'm going to spend the people who call people to do good. I'm going to be with the people who say, what the Prophet ﷺ said, speak good or be silent. Speak good or be silent. I'm going to be with the people who think good of other people and are willing to invite people to righteous conduct, to do what is good and to forbid what is evil. And of course, righteous conduct starts here. Starts here with myself, to enjoin the good and forbid the evil. So I need to identify what is good. I need to identify what is evil here. And I need to deal with what is good for me and what is bad for me. And that will go, what? Mentally, physically, and spiritually. If we start with food, I should refrain from eating those things which I know are not good for me, even though I maybe have some very strong inclinations towards it. And the promotion for it must be very strong, but I know it's not good for me. So similarly, in my psyche, I should refrain from reading, looking, doing, interacting with people, places, or things which I know will invite me or encourage me to do those things which are not good. You said, well, brother, you know, that life, that's very restrictive. I said, yes, it is restrictive, but it is a discipline, isn't it? And then what happens to us when we are not disciplined? Then we become slaves of our desire. And some people said, well, I like that. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having fun. And we've been told what? That this world is what? It is the prison for the believer. It's the paradise for the disbeliever. Meaning that the believer, he understands that he has to discipline himself. There are things which he cannot do. Whereas the disbeliever says, well, you know, I do a little of this, I do a little of that. I don't hurt anybody. I just kind of do my thing. As the believer says, I don't want to do my thing. I want to do what Allah wants. I want to discipline myself to obey the commandments. So this challenge is a challenge that we face on a daily basis. Every single day that we're living and breathing, there are challenges. There are obstacles on the path. There are tests. There are difficulties. And there is ease. And the believer, what does he believe? That the simplest of things, our dear Prophet ﷺ, he said, the simplest thing as pricking a finger for the believer becomes a means of forgiveness for his sin. So when we look at the people who says, I can't take this anymore, my life is so difficult, I'm going to end my life, he doesn't understand that the more hardship and difficulty he endures with patience and full faith in the oneness of Allah and obedience to the wonders of Allah, and steadfastness and sincerity, that this will be a great reward for him. But first, we have to have the reality of that. Because people always ask us, oh, this situation is so bad. Look at the condition. People are dying. People don't have food. Babies are dying. People are being slaughtered. Yes, this is the reality of this world. But the recourse for this is the believer will have no recognition of this in the hereafter. That any difficulty that he felt or endured in his life in the hereafter, he have no consciousness of it. And because he endured this with patience and steadfastness, this will elevate him in the hereafter. So the bottom line, we need to look at this and say, where is the challenge that we're faced with? And this, at some point in time, will end and we will come to new challenges. So why don't we look at us individually? And I say to everyone that's out there, ask yourself this question. What is the worst case scenario that you see yourself in? Let's make it easy. In this year. So let's start with this year, 2020. And we had a lot of promotion about 2020. And now we're seeing a lot of commotion in 2020. So in 2020, by the end of this year, what is the worst case scenario that you see? And let's extend that to 5 years, 2025. So this gives us perspective of the next 5 years, a perspective, only Allah knows, of the next 5 years. Now, let's take the other end. We need a balance, don't we? What is the best case scenario that you can see by the end of 2020 and the end of 2025? And then we will look at, hopefully, we will be somewhere in the middle. We'll wind up somewhere in the middle because we looked at both extremes. Realistically, we should look at the data, we should look at our lives and see what it is that we want to do. This is something that is not very difficult for anyone else to do. And we can look at what has happened in our past, even though what we're facing now is something totally different than what we've ever faced before. And where it's going is unsure. We don't know what's going to happen from day to day. But we can speculate. And that speculation will help us to be proactive about what actions we need to take. Now, for us as Muslims, it is Ramadan. This is the best time for us to be dealing with any difficult situation. And not just that, we're in the last 10 days of Ramadan, the most powerful time, an example. And we have one night, Laylatul Qadr. If we catch that night, it's like what? 1,000 months, 83 years and 4 months of worship. One night, we stand up in that night and we're doing good deeds. We're giving some charity. We're helping people. If we're inviting people to what is good, if we ourselves are trying to be good, that this reward is elevated. So for the Muslims, it's a win-win. We understand that. We have to be sincere. We have to be sincere. And we also, this is an opportunity for us to ask Allah, the one and only God, for forgiveness for our sins, to admit our sins, not to someone else, to the one and only God. To ask Him for forgiveness for our sins, to strive, to make the intention to strive to His obedience, and to do this regularly, to keep our tongue busy with His remembrance. In this, there is a mercy from Allah. And that mercy is easy for Allah to grant us the ability to overcome all challenges, all difficulties. that we may face in this world. So we should be sincere. We should be steadfast and firm in our belief under all conditions. And people say, well, how do we do that? It is really very simple. Establish our worship consistently. One of the biggest issues for us today is that we become lackadaisical in our obedience to Allah. We become busy. So I'm in a meeting, I'll pray later. Oh, and then we miss the prayer, an example. Oh, I'll read some Quran, when I get home. Get home, I eat, go to sleep, an example. So now we have an opportunity to prioritize the reading of the book of Allah, establishing our 5 times prayer, the remembrance of Allah, the supplication to Allah, giving some charity. Charity can be something as simple as a kind word and assisting someone to learn something, saying Assalamu alaikum to someone, or hello, how are you today? With the real intention of the true concern about the condition of that person. Sincerely be concerned that that person is well. And if he is not well, to do what was in your capability to help him or her. So these are some of the things that we should be concentrating on. And this is not limited to the Muslims. These are principles. Everyone can get benefit from them. This is a mistake that people make. Well, I'm not a Muslim, brother, so I can't do that. So, well, did you try it? Are you afraid it would not be beneficial for you? We're saying it will be beneficial for you. So in conclusion, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity to communicate with you, and we ask Allah to guide everyone who hears this presentation to the correct path, and that correct path is Islam. And that for all the believers that this time becomes a means of forgiveness for their sins and steadfastness on the path of Allah for their benefit in this life and the hereafter, and for generations to come, and for our country, UAE, that Allah may bless it and keep it under His care and His mercy, and protect our rulers and help them make wise decisions on behalf of our people. Barakallahu feekum, jazakallahu khayran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much for this powerful speech you give us now, and we hope that we can have some time for questions after this. Sheikh Moosa will talk about his topic. Sheikh Moosa, you are aware with us?
Yeah, I'm available. Yeah, I'm here.
MashaAllah. تفضل Sheikh. You can start your topic.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. First of all, I'd like to thank Mayamen Marketing Group for their invitation. I'd like to thank Brother Abdullah Muhammad for this very generous arrangement.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Sheikh Taher for his great insights and his great speech, which I really benefited from as well. Today, I would like to take you on a journey to reach to a state of unconditional emotional balance. When I say unconditional emotional balance, I mean that you will be able, inshallah, and this is not from my pocket, this is inshallah from the Quran and from the Prophet's promise, that if you follow this path that I'll present today, you will hopefully reach to an unconditional emotional balance state. This means a state of emotional balance that is not conditional upon any other thing. It is an open one. It is one that is granted from God that will allow you to sustain and maintain that for the rest of your life, inshallah. There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that mentions that the believers who hold the most complete beliefs are those who enjoy the most complete behaviors. We understand from this hadith that if you are a person who has the most complete behaviors, whether in pandemic or in normal situation, whether in hardship or in good times, then you are a person who has the most complete beliefs. So the secret behind all good behaviors are good beliefs. And the secret behind behaviors that are very well established and very positive are enrooted within oneself, that are very positive and very righteous. Let me take you on a journey showing you how the cycle of belief leads to our destinies, to our behaviors, and also bigger than that, our destinies. So everyone who has any behavior in his life, this behavior didn't come out of nowhere. It came from something instilled here that is called belief. Whether it is a good one or a bad one, this is another issue, but any behavior, whether negative or positive, comes from a belief that is positive or negative. This belief, after being nurtured, leads to a value. So if I believe, for example, that, let's say this pen is made of gold, then what I'll do, I'll put it in my safe box. I will make sure no one can see it, no one knows about it, and I will maybe sell it when gold increase in price. But if I believe this is made of plastic and this is, has the value of plastic, I will throw it maybe somewhere that is not very, that can be seen by anyone, taken by anyone, because I believe that it's made of plastic. It doesn't have a lot of value. So all beliefs make us value things or devalue things. And based on this fundamental, we generate the next one, which is our emotion. Our emotion towards this pen when it was made of gold is that we held a lot of value for it, so we took a lot of care and concern for it. But when it was made, when we believed it is made of plastic, what we have done, we have left it in front of anyone and everyone, and we didn't have a lot of high emotions toward it. Those emotions lead to what? Lead to a behavior. So the behavior in this example was that I put this in the safe box, or I left this in front of everyone. When behaviors recur one time after the other, what happens is that we generate an attitude towards this thing. Whether it is a pen, whether it is a person, whether it is a situation, whether it is anything else, we create an attitude towards that. An attitude of care or an attitude of carelessness, an attitude of concern or an attitude of non-concern, and so on. This attitude with time gets reinforced into oneself and becomes a habit. And when something becomes a habit, you become on pilot mode. You don't think whether you now will do this or that. You're now programmed, you're now on pilot mode, and you do things because it has been going on for a long time, that this habit became part of your life, part of your personality, which is very difficult by then to leave or to eliminate. And when habits continue, when habits repeat, what happens is that you reach to destiny. And when I say destiny, I mean you reach to your khatima. So the habits that you are used to today lead to your ending in this world. And that's why in the saying it says, "Man shabba ala shay'in, shaba alayhi." If you grow up to do something, you will become old and you'll still do it. And وَمَنْ شَابَ عَلَى شَيْءٍ مَاتَ عَلَيْهِ. And whoever becomes so familiar with something and has it as a habit for a long time, he will die while doing it. And those destinies, by the way, whether they are that's the destiny at the end of our life or destinies during our lives, those destinies feed again our belief. Because when we do a good behavior and then we reach to a destiny of a good thing, we tend to reconfirm our belief that we first started with. And then the cycle continues. So this is the cycle of belief to destiny and how it feeds each other one time after the other. Why I'm bringing this? Why I'm bringing this psychological discussion? I'm bringing this up because what I'll present to you today are a set of beliefs that if you really instill within yourself, you really use the right techniques to instill within yourself and work on yourself to have those beliefs as part and parcel of your life, you will find magic happening in your life. You will find things changing like anything. Your values will change, your emotions will change, your behaviors will change, your attitude will change, your habits will change, and then your destiny will change. But the main thing is that the more strong your belief is, and this is the whole trick behind this, the whole, let's say, the key thing behind this is that the more strong the belief, and the better the environment you're keeping yourself in to nurture this belief and allow it to be grown within yourself and not bringing any denying beliefs to it, the faster this cycle happens. And the more smooth it happens, and the more reinforced and established the belief happen, and then the more natural the behaviors will come out. And you know, we are now in a time, as the Prophet ﷺ have said, تعرف إلى ربك في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة. So if you are going with the right beliefs and the good times, those beliefs will help you out by God's blessings in the hard times. So that's why it's very important that we instill those beliefs all the time, especially in the good times and in the bad times. But when you work on yourself in the good times, in the bad times, you'll not find any difficulty, you'll not face any issues. Those beliefs by themselves will pop up and will help you act in the right way. So let me start with the beliefs. Those beliefs are actually, I mean, although I have collated them, but they're all from the Quran and the Sunnah, and I may bring some text while speaking, but it has taken me a good number of years until I put together those beliefs, which I call the 7 beliefs of emotional balance. Belief number 1 is that the value of this world equals to 0. Think with me. This world is a world of infinite time. Is the world of finite time. No matter how long we live, 100 years, 150 years, 200 years, there's a number. The akhirah is infinite. It has no number. And in mathematics, as you know, maybe you have all studied this in school, that when you bring a finite number to an infinite number, the finite turns out to be 0. So no matter how much and how long we have, it's always in front of something that is infinite in value and infinite in time. So this always will become 0. That's why when we hold the value of 0 to this world, then this belief leads to us reacting to this world as if it holds no value. And when we consider that this world has no value, our actions change, because value brings emotions, emotions bring behavior, behavior brings attitude, and attitude brings habit, and habit brings destiny. So our actions will change, our behaviors will change, and based on those, we will get different results and different destinies. And that's why I say that this brings something which we call the unconditional freedom. Why unconditional freedom? Because we free ourselves from attachment to this world. We don't get attached to this world. Why? Do I get attached to this pen? I don't get attached to it because it has no value. So why do I get attached to it? Maybe if it was made of gold, maybe in some point of time I get attached to it. But when I say that this pen or this whole world equals to 0, then I have eliminated the root reason for my attachment to this world. Because now I have something else which is more valuable, which is the akhirah. And when I believe in this and I reiterate the adhkar that reinforce this, the ayat that reinforce this, such as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَفَرِحُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا فِي الْآخِرَةِ إِلَّا مَتَاعٌ. And they became so happy with this world, and they didn't know that this world is nothing in front of the akhirah. And when we believe in those ayahs, when we read them, when we reiterate them, when we have a daily recitation on the ayat and the ahadith that make us believe in this. And then when incidents happen to us that deny this, for example, if I lose something and I feel bad about it, if I lose something valuable and I feel bad about it, then this is something that is actually against this belief. So I need to then meditate, isolate, and feed again into myself this belief that the value of this world equals to 0, why I'm sad. And bring the ayat again, bring the recitations again, bring all those daily recitations that we are doing that instill this belief within ourselves. And it's a journey. I'm not saying that you'll get there in 1 day, in 2 days, in 1 month, in 2 months, even in 1 and 2 years. It takes some time to reach there. And when I say it takes some time to reach there, some people are more ready than others. But it's a journey for everyone. And the more we instill in ourselves that the value of this world equal to 0, and when incidents happen that deny this, we go back to ourselves and we reiterate and we recite again that this world is, yes, it is zero because God says that it is zero. And we visualize ourselves in the hereafter and how the hereafter has no limits, has no time bounds. Then we start internalizing those things within ourselves in a manner that it becomes more natural to us not to become sad when we lose anything, and we don't become very happy when we get anything. That's why this freedom is very great that we get. When we get the whole world, then we get zero. We don't get ego. We don't get any, we don't get arrogance. And when we lose the whole world, we don't get any depression, and when we don't get any sadness. And that's why our balance sheet, as I say always, it's always zero, whether we get a billion or whether we lose a billion, because we are getting zero in and zero out. So we shouldn't be sad if it leaves, and we shouldn't also be arrogant or egoistic if it comes. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hadid, ما أصاب من مصيبة في الأرض ولا في أنفسكم إلا في كتاب من قبل أن نبرأها إن ذلك على الله يسير لكي لا تأسوا على ما فاتكم ولا تفرحوا بما آتاكم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hadid that we are bringing for you masa'ib, trials, troubles. So and those troubles have been written by us long back. Why did we do all this? Because troubles show you reality. And this reality, when you know about it, when you come to comprehend it and understand it, it leads to an understanding, to an internalization that makes you behave in a way, this is what God says, that when dunya leaves you, you don't get depressed or sad. And when dunya comes, you don't get so happy that you become arrogant or egoistic. And this is God's word in Surah Al-Hadid, that He says, we bring troubles to allow you to reach to this realization of the world. And then when you reach to this realization of the world, you become in a state where if it leaves, it doesn't harm your emotions. And when it comes, it doesn't harm your emotions from the other side as well. This is belief number one, and I call it the mother belief because it is the biggest belief that allows you the highest state of emotions, which I will call the unconditional freedom of worldly matters. Why is it the highest state? Because when you are free from dunya, you get connected to God. The more free you are from dunya, the more free you are from the worldly matters, the higher your tawheed becomes, the higher your attachment to God becomes. Because attachment to God needs some space, and dunya crowds the space. Once you eliminate dunya, you create the space for the attachment to God to happen, and there's no better thing to eliminate the dunya from your heart and the attachment to the worldly matters from your heart than making the value of this world equal to zero, because we as human beings are not attached to zero. Belief number two is that you're always in the right place in the right time. Why is this a very strong belief? Or why are we believing in this anyway? Who decides where we are every time? Who decides what happens to us anytime? It's God. It's the one who is most knowledgeable, so He knows all the options that we have. He's the most powerful. He can take us to any option He wants. Third, He is the most compassionate. He will not be driven by envy or by jealousy, that He will know where to take us, and He can take us anywhere, but because He's driven by envy, He will not take us to the best place. No, He's the most compassionate. He's most compassionate than our moms. So if He has all the options, because He is the most knowledgeable, and He is the most powerful, He can take us anywhere, and then He's driven by compassion, He will take us to the best place. When I say the best, is the first best, not even the second best. With this trust in God, what happens to us is that we tend to let go. We tend to stop judging why God has taken us here, why God has taken us there. It's, after all, a decision that maybe we cannot comprehend. It's like the father conversation with the child. He's giving him a vaccine. The child is experiencing a lot of pain, but because he trusts that his father will not only take him to the right place and for the right reasons, he accepts it. And with this in mind, I mean, you're always in the right place in the right time. We tend to accept everything from God. The acceptance rate becomes to reach 100%, and we tend to stop analyzing and over-analyzing why things happen. And this is the state which I call the unconditional happiness. Because now you don't put any conditions to your happiness. Whether you are in this situation or that, you are happy all the time because you have accepted the reality, because it is decided by someone who is most compassionate for you, most powerful, can take you anywhere. And he's the most knowledgeable. He has all the options in front of him. Nothing have been missed out. This is the second belief that I'd like to present today. Third belief is no one on earth has the power to benefit you or to harm you. And it's literally like this. No one on earth and nothing on earth has the power or the capacity to benefit you or to harm you. Everything that happens, although it may seem happening by people, people are only tools. God is using people to make benefit happen that he wants and harm that to happen that he wants. So what does this lead us to? So if we believe that no one on earth has the power to benefit us or to harm us, then we start not fearing from anyone. Then we start not having attachment to anyone, because we either hope a benefit from someone or we fear someone from harm. So we will never fear someone, and we will never have so much hope or attachment to someone as if he is the source of this benefit. And this stops us from humiliating ourselves to people, or stops us even from having so much fear to someone that we start, more or less thinking that he's the one who brings the harm. By that, we bring a lot of power to ourselves. We empower ourselves to an extent that we are free from any external power from people that is all fictitious, is all not true. It's something that is fake and maybe fabricated by them for other reasons that maybe they have. So this brings us to unconditional power. We start trusting that everything is coming from God and God alone. And that's why the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he wanted to advise Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he told him, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ, the whole nation, لو اجتمعت, if they come together, على أن ينفعوك بشيء, and they wanted to benefit you, لن ينفعوك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله لك. They will only be able to benefit you with something that God has already written for you. So it's anyway happening, whether they wanted to do it or not. And on the opposite side, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتْ عَلَى أَنْ يَضُرُّوكَ بشيء لَمْ يَضُرُّوكَ إِلَّا بشيء قد كتبه الله عليك. Even if they come together, all of them, all of the nation, to bring some harm to you, they will never be able to do that except if God has already written it for you. And by the way, if God has written a harm for us, then we go back to belief number 2. We're always in the right place in the right time. God has written this harm for a bigger reason, for a bigger wisdom that maybe we can't comprehend. But we trust that God has chosen the number 1 best option for us. And this harm is harm in front of the eyes of people, but it's not harm in the eyes of God. It is a gift in the eyes of God. It is actually something that is good for us, and it's really much better than if it was a benefit in the eyes of people. The harm today is a benefit tomorrow, and the bigger benefit in the hereafter. This takes us to the 4th belief, which is everything given to you is a gift. Nothing is a right. Let me give you a scenario of an employee in a company. The employee in a company has a salary, and on the other hand has also a bonus, or let's say an increment, or let's say an allowance. The basic salary is his right, but whatever above that is a gift. Maybe the salary itself is huge. Huge relatively to the, let's say, to the bonus. Let's say the salary is 30,000 or 20,000. And the bonus is, let's say, 5,000. The bonus is maybe once a year, and it's much less than the salary, but the happiness that comes with the bonus is much higher than the salary. Why? Because this guy is seeing the salary as a right. So there are no emotions toward this, that there is no any appreciation in the salary. It's a right that he has to be given. There is nothing seen towards this salary that is a good thing that is given towards, let's say, an extra thing that he has done. So it's a basic right that he loses emotion with time. But the bonus is something that is decided upon after due appraisal, after checking on his work, on his performance. So whatever is given, no matter how small, he sees that it is an appreciation of him. And that's why happiness here is much higher than happiness there, because it is linked to an attitude that this is coming from a source of appreciation. Actually, to be frank, in this world, life itself is a gift. Islam is a gift. Health is a gift. House is a gift. Our salary itself is a gift. So there is nothing as such as called a right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't create us out of a right that we have to be alive. He never gave us health because we gave him something that he gave health as a compensation. He didn't give us our residences because we deserve them. He initiated everything from his side as a gift. And that's why this is a very deep lesson that if we ponder upon and contemplate on daily basis, along with the other beliefs as well, we will appreciate each and every moment, each and everything, no matter how small, no matter how short. And we will never be depressed if something is taken. It was a gift in the first place. It wasn't a right. It was something, let's say, lent to us and then taken back. That's why we say always, Inna lillah, we are, even ourselves are owned by God. That's why we shouldn't be feeling any bad feeling if something is taken from us. And if something is left for us, then we should be more and more happy that this gift is left for us to use it more and more. And this is what brings to us unconditional gratitude. Gratitude, a state of gratitude that is not conditional upon getting more. Even sometimes getting less will give us more gratitude because we start appreciating what is left more than what we have been appreciating before that. And this is a state of what the Prophet, of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم. Remember the blessings that I've given you. Count the blessings and you will reach to this state. Belief number 5, you are the first beneficiary of your service to others. When I serve others, let's say today, for example, I'm lecturing. So it seems to you that I'm serving you. Actually not, I'm serving myself. I'm aligning myself more to those beliefs. I am connecting more to those beliefs. I am getting maybe I'm giving my time for this, so Allah will give me more barakah in the rest of my time. So as Allah says, وَمَا أَنفَقْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ. Whatever you give, whether money, whether time, whether knowledge, whether skills, Allah will give you more. Allah will give you from His end more than what you expect. So in أحسنتم لأنفسكم. If you do good to others, you are doing good to yourselves. So that's why when we do good to others, we shouldn't feel, oh, we are now serving them, or we are now bringing good to them. We are better than them. They should be appreciating us. No, we are not doing good to others. We are doing good to ourselves. And that's why the one who has this state of mind will never be concerned how others react to his service to them, because he's not doing it for them in the first place. So he's not awaiting from them anything. لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. We are not doing it for the sake of people. We are doing it for the sake of ourselves. We are not waiting from them any jaza, which is the monetary reward. ولا شكورا, not even non-monetary rewards of thanking and being grateful. And this belief allows us to continue serving others. To serve others, as it said here, unconditionally. So when I say unconditionally, I mean, So when I say unconditionally, I mean that we serve people without any conditions. We don't serve them because they will say thank you. We don't serve them because they deserve to get all those things. We serve people because we are benefiting from our. So by that, I mean by having this unconditional service to others, we are feeding ourselves before others. We are appreciating ourselves before others. And this unconditional service of not having any condition of others thanking us or reacting positively to us allows us to serve more and more others. Belief number 6. The best version of yourself is your original self. So what's that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Teen, لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. We created human being in the best version. ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين. Then we took them to a very less state of what we created them in. So who are the ones who come back? إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. Those who have the right beliefs and do the right things will come back to the original state or original version or the best version of themselves. So what takes them down? What takes them down are the bad deeds. So what takes them up again are the good deeds that are driven by the good beliefs. And these beliefs, what I'm showcasing today, are beliefs all from the Quran and Sunnah. And if you believe in those and act upon them, you will go back to your original state. Because we are usually not seeing the right original self of ours because many impurities have distorted our vision. And once we start doing the right deeds, which are driven by the right beliefs, we start taking away the impurities from before our eyes, and we see things very clearly. And then we discover ourselves, and we find that our original self is very unique than anyone else. So why is this important? This is important because once we see our original self, we start finding that engaging with ourselves requires a lot of time and effort to take it to a better state, and we start losing sight of judging others, of comparing ourselves to others. So envy, jealousy, all this go away because now we engage with ourselves more, because we have clarity on where we are and where we should be and how much time and effort we need to work on ourselves to go there. So this takes us to the unconditional satisfaction. Unconditional satisfaction is a state that where we are satisfied with our original self and we work on escalating it, we work on making it a better one, and we never go astray and try to compare ourselves to others and why others are having more than us or less than us, or why others have this but not have that. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Don't wish what others have been given that you have not been given. So this is something that is very important to create this unconditional satisfaction. The last belief that I'd like to add today is the belief that remembrance of death is the best filter for all issues. Remembrance of death makes us in the utmost ultimate reality. Death is the reality that no one can deny. No Muslim, no non-Muslim. And the moment we remember something, the moment we live it. It says in psychology that if you imagine something, it's as good as reality. Imagination and reality are the same thing. If you imagine death and that it's coming, then you have lived it. And if you live it, you'll make a better version of your life, a better version of yourself, and you'll create a better belief system, a better action system for you that will allow you to filter all the issues that are coming in your way. I call this sometimes the emergency exit, because sometimes it's so overwhelming, the state that you are in, the hardship that maybe you are going through, that you need something that just takes you out. So what's that? It's the remembrance of death, because if death comes, it cancels everything, no matter how hard is your hardship. And that's why I would say that remembrance of death, as the Prophet have said, مَا ذُكِرَ الْمَوْتُ فِي ضِيقٍ إِلَّا وَسَعَهُ. When you remember death in a hardship, it makes it loose. It eases it. And that's why remembrance of death is the magical formula to go back to the right state, to cancel the effect of a hardship, and to go to a state, as I say, the unconditional survival. That if you want to survive with yourself from a certain dilemma, then remember death, you will be switched on again back to your original state. Just to end my talk, I want to have a call for action. Some tips I would like to say just to end my talk. So those beliefs, maybe you have enjoyed seeing them one after the other. It took me around 7 years to be in a position to write them, maybe another 1 year to write them and ink them. But I would tell you today, I've gone through a journey with those beliefs. They require a lot of time, a lot of efforts, a lot of contemplation and meditation. If you want really to live up to those beliefs, my humble advice and personal loving advice is that give your time, give those beliefs your time, your quality time. Give it the first thing in the morning, before you go to bed. If an incident happens to you, denies any of those beliefs or shakes you, then go back to the beliefs. Have those beliefs written above your bed, in your phone. Have them handy with you whenever you need to refer to them. I can promise you, I've gone through those beliefs. I've gone through this journey. It's a very, maybe it's a bit difficult in the beginning to go through this journey, but once you start tasting it, it tastes like anything. It tastes like the best thing you can experience in this life. It's beyond words. If I describe how those beliefs bring happiness, gratitude, satisfaction, power, just name it. Just name the positive emotion, it will be there. Because those are divine beliefs. These are not my beliefs. Those are the beliefs that are expressed in the Quran, expressed in the Sunnah. And I would say that these are the key beliefs that will bring to us the unconditional emotional balance. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to live up to those beliefs, allow us to live up to our expectations, allow us to be happy for the rest of our life, to be powerful for the rest of our lives, to be satisfied, and to live up to live a life that deserves to leave a legacy behind for all of us and for our loved ones. Thank you very much. Thank
you. Thank you very much, Sheikh Moosa, for this powerful speech. And now we have 20 minutes for questions, less than 20 minutes, I think. Perhaps you like something and it's not good for you. And maybe you hate something and it's better for you. The best is what Allah chosen for you. My question is to Sheikh Taher, how to control our beliefs?
How to control our beliefs? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the thing is, in terms of our belief system, first of all, we need to learn them. You know, what I found is that many people today, they don't know what their belief is. If you ask them what is the belief, for example, let's say as Muslims, let's just start with the 5 pillars. All right. Do we know the 5 pillars, first of all, exactly? And we should know exactly what they mean. Okay. We should define them according to the Quran and the Hadith of Prophet ﷺ. We should know how they relate to us on a daily basis, and we should know how they relate in our society and impact us on a daily basis. So if we understand, if we take the time out, just let's start with the 5 pillars to understand it from that perspective, then we become more grounded in them. And if we ourselves try, number one, to live by them practically, and to implement our lives and to teach them to our families, and to regularly on a daily basis have in our household some teaching and learning, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, okay, but make it a regular thing in our household, then we find that these things become more reality to us. It's like anything else. The more you do it, the more it becomes a reality for you, and more it becomes in front of your face. And I don't want to take too long. One of the things about these screens is that the screen is with you most of the time and it's in front of your face. What our Ustaz just said, Moosa would said a very important thing in conclusion. If we look at our death as though it's the screen in front of our face and everything that we're doing every day, that could be the end of it. How would we react and how would we deal every day? So those things which are important to us, and this, of course, the fundamentals of Islam, essential for us to understand them exactly what they mean and how to employ them and how to live by them.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. My second question is to Sheikh Moosa. How to set our values during this time? How to change or adjust ourselves and our values during this time? What should we do to become better Muslim at this time?
Thank you very much, Abdullah. I would say, so values are things that we tend to make decisions based upon. So if you have taken any decision in your life, you either do this or that. Like even a weekend, you either like maybe other than the pandemic situation times, in a weekend you either go to family, stay alone, or go with friends. Which one do you choose? I mean, the one which you choose is the thing that you value most. So I would say that first of all, discover your values. Maybe you don't know what are your values. So How do you discover your values? Look at the decisions you're taking on daily basis when you have options, when you have either A or B or C. Which one do you choose? The one which you choose is the one that you most value. And if you are not happy with those order of your values, the priorities, like you are choosing, for example, friends while you should choose family, then you should work on this value, because now the order of your value is not in the correct manner. Or maybe it's prayer time, you are choosing to play rather than pray. Then you will not be happy, because praying is not number one, playing is number one. So the number one step is to discover your values, the order of your values. Number two, if you're not happy with the order, then you should work more on the why. Why are you not having enough value for this? Maybe you didn't discover the benefits of this. Why do you value something more than this? Because it benefits you more than it. Why do you value the 1,000 dirhams more than 100 dirhams? Because the 1,000 dirham will give you more value than the 100 dirhams. However, if you have a 100 dirhams that gives you a 90% discounted or your, let's say, shopping, then you will take the 100 dirhams because maybe it will have a higher value. So what I'm trying to say here, just as a conclusion, discover your values. Then if you're not happy with the order of your values, you should work on revisiting the benefit of those things that maybe you are blinded from. Maybe you are not really well-versed on what are the benefits of prayers, what are the benefits of the highest values in the eyes of God, which are not the highest values in your eyes. You should revisit the benefits of those things that you may not have seen yet.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Now I will give the mic to Sumisha. So if you can ask the question from the chat area we have.
Thank you. Thank you, Abdullah. Yes, indeed. We have one question in the chat. So I just want to address the audience. If you have other questions or any comments, please feel free to raise them in the chat. So this question is from Sayed Shahan. Assalam. How does an individual manage criticism post his effort to change toward righteousness, but society keeps demotivating him, her, with his past, as he has to live in the same society and extended family? I have my brothers who come to me to discuss the ordeal despite trying to make that change, are unable to move forward. So maybe we can start with Sheikh Sheikh Taher.
Abu Bara. Okay. Well, you know, there are many of us, many people face these kind of challenges, especially when, let's take an extreme. Let's say you were a criminal and you spent time in prison, all right? And then you came home and, you know, everybody's still looking at you like, oh man, you went to prison, that's the worst thing. And your own family is saying, you know, no one's ever done this in our family. You know, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know, you've dishonored us, so forth and so on. So the first thing is you have to establish your relationship with Allah. And that's the most important thing, your relationship with Allah. And you have to be sincere with Allah. You have to repent, make tawbah, ask Allah to forgive you for those sins. And you have to follow a path showing that you want to change. And that has to be, again, in all of your actions, in your speech, in your actions, in your interactions. So when we talk about those things I mentioned before, people, places, and things, you have to change those people, places, and things. And your attitude and your speech has to be different, meaning that you need to be reflecting on that change. And that needs to be a constant effort on a daily basis for you. You can speak all you want. The people who know you are going to say, well, you know, we know you, you did this before, you said this before, you went back. But your actions, we say actions speak louder than words, okay? And be thankful if you come from a good family. Thank your family. Thank them for being supportive of you, for praying for you and assisting you and so forth. If your family is negative and harsh against you, you have to bear that, and you have to work very hard, and you have to continually beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you in this. Worst case scenario, you're in an environment where you've been branded, and no matter where you go, you're faced with it. And we've seen people like this. The police, for example, pick you up from time to time. You need to change your environment. And okay, somebody says, well, I can't do that, I'm working here. So you need to ask Allah to you keep asking Allah to make it easy for you, and make it easy for you to do what is good for you and for your religion to obey the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah will, and you be patient with it, you will see Allah open the way for you. Inshallah.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. Sheikh Moosa, can we have your input, please?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'd like to thank Sheikh Taher. I agree with all what he said. But what I'll do now, I'll build on what Sheikh Taher said, and I'll use this as an example to show you how this is an incident that we can use the 7 beliefs to treat. So let's say a person is in this incident. How can he use some of the 7 beliefs to treat this incident? So this incident shows an incident of non-acceptance of people to a person, to oneself. So when people start not accepting you, remember that people have no capacity to harm or benefit you. So their perception equals to 0 because they don't have any power to benefit or to harm. So there is no value to their perception towards you. The perception of God is what matters. Perception of people does not matter. And the moment you believe in this, the value of their perception goes down, the value of perception of God goes up, and your emotions towards it will be less. I will not say you will eliminate it. We are human beings. We will have emotions, but it will be much less than if your value of their perception was very high. And this is a very good opportunity, those incidents, and I will say it again, to test your belief. If you want to know if your belief is strong or not, if this incident is really shaking you, then the belief is not as strong. You need to raise it. So that's why I will call each one of us, including myself, when incidents happen and they start shaking you, whether firmly or lightly, I would invite you to tap back to the 7 beliefs or any other belief. I'm not saying the 7 are the only beliefs, but I'm saying the beliefs in general. Tap into the beliefs and find which beliefs have not been instilled enough, which is allowing you to shake before this incident. And then you will find at least 1 or 2 beliefs that are there. So here we can say the belief number 1 is there is no one on earth who has the capacity to harm you or benefit you. And maybe also the belief that the value of this world equals to 0 and you're always in the right place in the right time. Maybe those 3 beliefs, but the first one is the most related one.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Moosa. We have in the meantime 2 other questions in the audience. So this one is from Mukhtar. Sometimes at work we see some Muslims shying away from their identity and prefer not to exchange salams and even avoid prayer sometimes. This is mostly done to look cool or to please the people around them. How does one tackle such situations, be successful at work, and also practice the religion in the right way? Maybe Sheikh Moosa, if you want to keep moving.
I would start with Sheikh Taher. Sheikh Taher, please.
No, go ahead. No, please. Barakallahu feek. Jazakallah khair. Yalla.
Okay. So again, I would go back to how much value are we holding to this world? How much value are we holding to the next world? If we hold so much value for this world and those who belong to it, the people in it, the value system in it, then we will act to please it. We will act to satisfy it. But if the value of this world is anyway equals to 0, then we'll not hold a lot of consideration for it. And we'll start acting in a way that pleases the one who has the ownership of the next world. Because if the next world is a world that is perfect, that is infinite, that is guaranteed, that is so deep in its taste and in its experience, and the world that we are in is finite and is shallow and is unguaranteed and is imperfect. So no sane person will choose something that is imperfect and finite and limited and not deep, so it's very shallow and it's not guaranteed. So all those are negative attributes. Why are we choosing this world when we have another world that is so perfect? Wallahu yad'u ila dar as-salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting you to the world that has no limitations, that has no restrictions. And that's why I'm telling you that if we, this mother belief, if we take care of it, the value of this world is equals to 0, we will not do those very, insane or weird behaviors of trying to please people and trying to be cool and to please people and displease God in return.
Thank you, Sheikh Moosa. Sheikh Taher, Sheikh Abu Bara.
Yeah, in relation to, we said there's one thing that I think that's important, and that is this world is also a currency for the hereafter. So we have to look at opportunities to gain that currency, to send ahead. The Prophet ﷺ said more or less, all that you own belongs to someone else except that which you have used or that which you have sent ahead of you. So these kinds of environments where a Muslim is an environment where people are not practicing Islam or people deny Islam, it's an excellent opportunity for dawah. And one of the mistakes that most of the people think about our dawah is that they think about somebody like standing on a soapbox preaching. No. You know, our dawah is calling the adhan, calling the people to worship Allah. Our dawah is establishing the salah. Okay, our dawah is being kind to our people at work. Our dawah is trying to understand the condition of people who don't know Allah, or the people who say they don't believe in Allah, to how to engage them in a way where they see the distinction in our behavior. It's a huge opportunity for us, but it's also a huge challenge. Okay, this briefly because we don't have much time. You know, of course, I'm American. I'm originally from New York City, and I practice Islam in America. And I tell people, I didn't start wearing these clothes here. I was wearing this in America. Okay, an example. All right, so the thing is that we found that in trying to establish the Sunnah in our belief system, meaning, for example, praying in an environment where there was no prayer room, where there was no Muslims, telling people, listen, I have to take 5 minutes to prayer, whether it's lunchtime or no lunchtime, the impact on the people. I mean, this guy says, listen, man, you know, yeah, pray for me too, man, I need some prayer. Or some people even says, well, you know, you're busy doing this. It's your prayer time, isn't it? You know, people, when they become adjusted to that. Or some people say, oh, listen, you know, we got a little room over here. You know, you can use this room over here, you know, make your prayers, but don't forget me too. So we found that this, even in this way, even in some of the most situations that you would least expect. Okay, for example, I know brothers who were musicians. Okay, an example, but that didn't stop them from praying. They were Muslims, but they were musicians. And when it came time to pray, they always prayed, as an example. So we have to look at the opportunities and believe that this world is a temporary place and our real home is Akhirah, but there is currency here. And that also that this deen is an invitation for the people who don't know Allah. And that we have to be the example for them. We know that this is like, so the world is not worth the wing of one mosquito to Allah. We know that. But at the same time, how do we empower these people? How do we encourage them to know Allah for the sake of their own soul?
If you allow me, I would like to add one last thing. Actually, it seems that I didn't get the question. Now I got it after I heard Sheikh Taher speaking. I agree with Sheikh Taher totally what he said. And maybe one last thing is that we should have pride for what our religion has given us. We should be actually proud of this religion. We should be seeing the value. وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ. You are وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةِ. يعني we should feel that we have an obligation towards others to give them the great gift that Allah gave us. So when we have a great gift, we have to share it with others. So Allah has given us a great gift, and it's our obligation now to present it in the best way to others so they will accept it and enjoy it as well. So yeah, I agree with you, Sheikh Taher. Jazakallah.
Thank you. Thank you to each one of you. We have a third question, and this one is particularly for Sheikh Moosa. It's from Bassam. Thank you all. Sheikh Moosa, what was the difficult part or parts through the journey of changing and ordering your values till become habits and destiny?
Thank you very much. The most difficult part is when you grow up with certain values. When you, let's say, the whole environment around you is giving value for something, believes in something, and you are trying to live up to another value. And when this happens, it's not only the habit, it's not only now all the habit that you need to eliminate and then instill a new habit, but now it's also the environment around you that is not helping you. So, and I mean, in this situation, the difficulty is about how you can present your new self to yourself and to others, because now you are something inside is changing. Yeah? And if the inside is changing, but you're not showing it in the outside, then you are not actually allowing the inside to get reinforced, because versus your internal one, and vice versa. The more you bring harmony to both, that the inside and the outside are in sync and in one line and in one page, the more reinforcement happens. So again, just going back to the question, the most difficult part of this is once you are trying to change a childhood habit, and again, the same habit is not is a habit that is instilled within your environment, and you are trying to go against both of them at the same time. It's difficult, but it's doable and it's possible.
Thank you, Sheikh Moosa. We will pick up the last question before to close, and this one will be for Sheikh Taher. What is the practical tips to live the 7 values with examples?
I didn't get the practical tips for what?
Actually, this one is more for Sheikh Moosa, but maybe you have your point of view as well from the presentation from Sheikh Moosa. Or maybe let's take another questions for you, Sheikh Taher. I apologize. These principles that have been practiced with both precision and focus, as humans, how do you find the way to keep yourself consistent? Is having a mentor very important to keep check? And in today's busy schedule, finding one is next to impossible. So how do you go about it? Is there a community of learned scholars we could connect online? It is from the same person who asked you the question before, for you past following you.
Well, the thing is that, okay, we do have scholars here, and the person, there are some things that we need to understand, that people themselves have to reach out. You have to reach out for knowledge, you have to reach out for change, you have to look for that, you have to pursue it. And even though we have in this country all kinds of facilities, you have to reach out for it, and you have to make sacrifice sometimes. All right. So, but the most important thing is that we must set out as a Muslim. Islam is time management. It is a time management system, and all the people that I know here who are working in the corporate world, they go into these time management workshops, and I always laugh at them about it. I said, we have the time management system. Who starts at 4 o'clock in the morning? Now we're at 4 o'clock in the morning, we eat our sahur as an example. Who starts like that, getting ready to go to work? Okay, an example. So we have a time management system. We have to follow that time management system and organize all of our affairs around that. That has become our priority. Once we do that, everything else falls into place. When we don't do that is when our life becomes scattered. And we fall back to what we said before. So we need to understand and implement our 5 pillars. Go back to the basics. Establish the basics firmly. This is essential, and we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're adjusting everything else, so our life becomes like a ping pong ball. And as a result of that, this is what happens, as what you're seeing. Okay, and so many instances. So go back to the basics, the fundamentals of what it is that we have, what we have to do, and establish your life around that. And I find a lot of people, they say, well, brother, I'm in the corporate world and I'm traveling here, I'm traveling that. I said, make the adjustments. You can make the adjustments and beg Allah for this, to make it easy for you.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. The last question, and then we will close this time. We have so many questions. The other questions, we will answer to them by emails. So we will come back to you. Please leave your email for the people who raise the questions. So this one is for Sheikh Moosa. Let me quickly go back. It was from, bear with me. What is the practical tips to live the 7 values with examples?
Okay,
they want practical tips.
Okay, I would say that maybe they revolve around 3 things. Tip number 1, be consistent, be continuous. Don't take the beliefs as information and then park them and leave them. There's no use to know about them if you will not implement them. So be consistent, have a daily sitting with yourself to review the beliefs, to go through them, to check on yourself, have a check-in, whether you are in sync with the beliefs or not. And if you are in sync with the beliefs, it will show. Your feelings will show once you read the belief, whether you are really appreciating this belief or not. So this is number one, a daily sitting with yourself on consistent basis. Second, once an incident happens that shakes you, be very sure that one of the beliefs is not correct, or is not reinforced within yourself enough to make you stand up in front of the situation. So whenever an incident happens, even if it is a small argument with someone, or maybe you lose something, or maybe you hear a news and you get disturbed, these are normal emotions, but sometimes they happen more than, sometimes you can monitor yourself, you observe yourself on continuous basis, you feel that you have become so emotional. When you become so emotional in any incident or in any argument or on any, let's say, occasion, this means there is an issue with one of the beliefs that is not allowing you to have an emotional balance. So the second practical tip is to observe yourself continuously throughout the day and look out for incidents that shake you. So this is the second one. The third one, I would say, if you would like to really have something that reinforces those beliefs, like anything, like magic, link them to dhikr, link them to adhkar. So for example, if you link, for example, the one that relates to you're always in the right place in the right time, to, for example, La ilaha illallah wahdah, la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allah, in this dhikr, we are saying that Allah is the only one who should be worshipped, is the only one who is managing everything. He has the full ownership, he has the full praise, and he is able to do anything. So when you link this with I'm always in the right place in the right time, because God has the full ownership, God has the full power, and God is able to do anything, and then you link it to I'm always in the right place in the right time, automatically when you will read this recitation, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, you will boost up you're always in the right place in the right time. Actually, this will replace that. Your second belief will be this dhikr. And the dhikr, when you say it, you get ajr, you get reward, you are following the Prophet, and you are instilling some of the beliefs. So this dhikr can be used to replace or to be used to boost one of the beliefs. So those are my 3 tips. Be consistent, look out for incidents, and connect your beliefs to the adhkar.
Thank you so much. Really, we had an amazing session, very insightful answers and questions from our audience. And again, we have other questions, but unfortunately, with the time running, we ask you to leave your email addresses to get your answers, and then we can share as well with you the slides from Sheikh Moosa. Abdullah, if you want maybe to mention something before we close the session.
I would like to thank everyone attended the session, and I will especially thank Sheikh Taher Khalid for his nasiha and advices he gave us, plus Sheikh Moosa Khoory for the 7 beliefs he gave us. And I believe that the audience will have more and more questions, and they would like to spend more time with you, Sheikhs. And unfortunately, we have limited time and we have to close. Inshallah, we will have more sessions with Sheikh Taher and Sheikh Moosa in the coming future. If you can follow us on our social media pages, or leave your email as well here. We will sure inform you when we have a new webinar coming soon, inshallah. Thank you all. Thank you very much for the attendees and for the shares. Jazakumullahu khairan wa barakallahu feekum.
Thank you everyone. I would like to thank the team, to thank our panelists. I would like to thank the audience. I will leave the chat open for a few minutes to leave your email addresses, and then we can close the call. Thank you all, and have a blessed week. Thank you. Bye.